Welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. We began in our lovely short on self-mastery and how it comes with our lovely unconditional love and integrity. Okay, so unconditionally loving is part of the securely attached, non-traumatized person, which is what our 5D Collective here is, and that's why we're empowered feminines with empowered masculines. And whether it is the journey of an empowered masculine or not, any empowered masculine will automatically be an empowered feminine because that's your body. Okay, so you're securely attached is because you can self-regulate in your own human being ventral vagal state. That's why you have self-mastery. And that's where you will know this, because you will know how it works to be in your ventral vagal state, because you will have consistently chosen in one way, shape, or form, you, the person here, if you are resonating, to be in your prefrontal cortex and to be out of a sympathetic. Versus the 3D 4D collective, they navigate at the low frequency of fear. The biochemistry of fear is what takes place when, like with the Zen master who talks about emotions as laundry. So when you hear suffering, it's the human beings who are consistently using a modulated embodiment. Now, everybody has a different journey, so let's leave it alone. There's plenty of amazing trauma therapists out there like Patrick Tiahan. He's awesome for childhood trauma, who will help anybody who wants to reparent their inner child, so to learn to love themselves first. And Terry Real is out there too. Okay, so the empowered feminine, and I'm a 5D mystic, FYI. So Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness, enlightenment, soul age group, function, inner child, adult. What I can tell you with my oversoul and with clairs, which are spiritual gifts, psychic gifts, intuitiveness, all of that, which is part of the spirituality journey, awakening. Yes, it's completely different than what you'll hear from stories of those who have paused self. So when I meet adaptive child part people, and you'll hear me use the word teenager, it's called people who are paused selves, who don't have self-mastery, but they think they will. And I like to say, hi, Peter Pan, hi, Pinocchio, hey, Lost Boys, hey, Wendy's, have a good time on that island. And we will meet. Yes, sure we will. But because your consistency is inconsistent completely and you get dumbed down by your own little angry button, I mean, really, it's not going to be something that is going to expand me per se. But I will be appreciative because God told me, like Source, like enlightened ones, that we are one big ball of energy, and that's why I honor my brothers and sisters of all frequency. I'm just not in the fear one, I'm in the pure love one. People who embody pure consciousness, it's called incarnating pure consciousness, because you will be unconditionally loving, because that's what you are when you're securely attached, anchored in ventral energy, self-regulating in the absence of another person, and having a differentiated self. Is it easy? It's not about easy or hard. We don't think of creating resiliency to my restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating lifestyle with my inner growth mindset, mindfulness practices, and mindset skills as a burden. You know what I think a burden is? Having to see people who think of themselves as leaders and then having other people follow them. We're following the leader, and me having to bite my tongue because God keeps telling me to mind my own business and not judge suffering. How does that sound? So a discerning, equanimous, loving entity is what God is to me, which is why when I moved into having clairs, it didn't change my relationship with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I'd already told God, hey, the people in cloaks who say they talk for you, yeah, my mother taught me what bad manners look like. They have them all, and they hurt children physically, and they hurt children emotionally. Oh, they also hurt them mentally. Oh, and they continue to hurt grown-ups, men and women, who they say they're telling them how to promise and make vows and how to cherish each other, but I see that the men and the women are beating each other, talking shit about it. I mean, stereotypes are all over the place. Yeah, so, it's not Lucifer, definitely no demons in any of them. They just seem to want to carry on with what is called trauma. What is it, Patrick Tiahan? Yes, the cowards. I agree, Patrick. So Patrick Tiahan has a lovely post that I read today, and I will share that with you, because this is what I do honor him so much. Because even though he says, hey, you don't have to forgive, I get it, because at least all of his community are taking seriously, not projecting their unfortunate childhood trauma upon those of us who choose to be kind, because we didn't get our faith broken in humanity, because our child is not broken. We didn't get shamed. We got taught how to be kind and not shame others. And you're going to bring to me that which is your exiles, your protectors, your own having whatever's going on in your little inner critic, outer critic. So when I meet rigidity and unforgiveness and harshness and people who don't know how to learn new skills and all of this stuff that comes up and they think they know what they're, I'm 4'9". I don't stand a chance. Ego also is very sensitive because ego from that type of person is an insecure one, and low self-esteem people are adaptive child parts who need Terreal, not me. Plus, they're biologically rude. They have no self-mastery. They're in their 3-year-old, and I'm meeting the 16-year-old, and I don't want to have to deal with limited thought and pissy emotions. Because I'm going to get pummeled if you get pissed to the extent of pummeling me, woman or man are they. And I didn't have a good time, and I was just having a good time, so I thought. The empowered feminines have empowered masculines. Once a masculine is empowered, then he's a feminine. Otherwise, we will really notice their Cusco plays, and well, that's what happens. So, you're always talking about trauma from your family. Just deal with it and move on. And this is Patrick Tian. Says the person who avoids real intimacy, avoids emotions, exhibits trauma responses, has a poor sense of self. So when you meet the poor sense of self people, they have an identity. It's called a mask, and therefore they are not able to notice that their personality patterns, their temperament, and their self can be mastered. Okay, so we're going to leave alone, again, the low frequency of fear because their perception has been completely skewed due to them having a very shame, defective, fault, and burdensome perspective of themselves from the heart. So as long as they don't take ownership to learn how to navigate life from their ventral vagal state, we're going to have hypervigilant, and that's where the past lives through them in every one of their unkind mannerisms. If they want to heal, they can. All people, personality disorders, childhood trauma, all of it. So when I'm dealing with people who have bad manners, it's biological rude. I've learned consistently since I was a teenager how to disengage from fearful human beings, and I told God, no Lucifer, just cowards. And to this day, when I meet masculines, they're all distorted feminines, so they're all, at the end of the day, my hand goes to my heart and I say, thank you, God, for reminding me not to judge human suffering. And I judge it not because it's bad, it's because I find it futile. Because you were gifted a gift, which is a miracle of life. You have 24 hours, and I know you're doing a pity party like the Zen master because you can't get those 2 hands, 2 feet and say, hey, Pat Ogden talks about trauma time. She has this thing called sensory motor and how to get out of trauma time. Huh? Dr. Daniel Fox, he helps people get out of maladaptive patterns of behavior and maladaptive daydreaming. Wow, I could go and get all of this stuff that's making me wake up every day sluggish. And so this is how my intellectual discerning and equanimous brain works. And as a teenager, I didn't know all the attachment trauma. I just knew that God gave us 2 choices. You can be kind to each other, or you're not, and if you weren't, then that's the part you chose, but that part wasn't ever Lucifer. To this day is not. Patrick McNamara explains how the brain works. So again, empowered feminines come with empowered masculines. Empowered feminine, my body. Empowered masculine, my mind, and I'm empowered completely because it's an integrated brain. They work together, the left and right, and so I'm the master of myself in the mental, emotion, physical plane. So you add inner growth mindset, mindfulness practices, and mindset skills, and you keep on moving into more of you. The aliveness is what you will know of, but the choice is between, do I get to breathe, differentiate myself, as Dr. Daniel Siegel suggested to me when I told him I'm sensitive to the environment without having to mention that I'm a mystic or a mentor. No, I did say I'm a mentor and a podcast host and a content creator who supports people with personal development to be their self. So that part I did. I just didn't need to involve him in the woo-woo pseudoscience bit. And he says, Maria, I think you need to differentiate more. And I know what he means because Maria has her own thoughts and feelings, which is why this empowered feminine won't be able to be destabilized no matter what kind of decentralized self-experience I've had, the religious and spiritual, yes. When I moved from monoamory to polyamory, as I got 1 twin flame, then wow, all of a sudden 2. I'm like, that's not possible. Now I love 2 people as more than just friends. And no, I didn't care about the monoamory saying, you're all unfaithful, because polyamory is consensual non-monogamy, and it's a private discussion and conversation between grown-ups, by the way. You're not poly enough, you're not mono enough, how dare you don't know what love is. That actively doesn't happen between human beings. who are curious, open, accepting, and loving. And really, it's more of I'm a differentiated self, and so are you. So nobody actually has one blanket statement about anything, because that's how it works when you know that your thoughts and emotions are not irrefutable facts. So people who bring forth effective realism, yeah, we don't consider them self-mastered, and in fact they're not empowered feminines, masculines. They're only masculines, which means they have distorted feminines. It's not about men or women. Please don't do the gender thing. When I do feminine, masculine, it's not about gender. Okay, so without transforming individual human beings, there will be no transformation in the world. Thank you, Sadhguru. But transformation is happening because there's a bunch of smart therapists out there who are informing all of us about this lovely world of mindful living and loving. And as somebody who's been doing it alongside the mindset skills, thanks to having the capacity to sift through my feelings, my sensations, my emotions, my thoughts, that's because I have an integrated brain. So you come on over if you want for Mystic Mentor, self-help, mindful living and loving, chit chat. We also will have practices once the video exercises will come out, and that's for the paid subscribers. And in the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful weekend as our energies continue to allow us to expand. So the 5D collective knows we are our own destiny makers. Everything happens for a reason. Every action has a reaction, and everything that's meant to come always finds its way. And empowered feminines know that all of masculines can be empowered. However, we do have two sides to the coin of how I bring to you human elements, spiritual and spirituality. So I do begin my journey of spirituality and faith with God. God's chosen my fate. I get to choose my destiny. I collaborate with God and Akash and Source and Anima Mundi. Why? Because I'm a channeler and I'm a downloader. So I bring it all in, and those who want to keep using the word Lucifer can continue to do so. They're ignorant. They're ignorant because they don't know of Patrick McNamara, but also the 4D body type doesn't have the 5D body type. And that is a whole other story which we won't get into. And no, I don't have a list of items for you to write down. I'm not a teacher. I'm actively a content creator, podcast host who's telling funny stories, news stories, and sharing with you who I am. When you get the courses and or you get the masterclass and or you come to a workshop and or you get one of the paid, again, that's exercise. Other than that, we're having a good time. And I am pseudoscience lady because I respect the researchers who do the hard work of empirical data. So I know when I'm hearing data, and then I know when I'm hearing people that are like me. And then I know when in my face I got people who are like me, and that's the minute of truth that I learned enough of how to handle teenagers my entire life, because I just thought teenagers would grow up. And now I just know of them as Peter Pan, Lost Boys, Following Wendy, and with Pinocchio, they are on that island. So when you meet non-bilaterally integrated brain people, you meet structurally dissociated pause selves who don't have a good perception. They got shame, they got blame, they got revenge, they got envy, they got rigidity, unforgiveness. Let's see, what else? Stories, like the bejesus of stories. They also have personality types, the doomsdayer, the doer, the hostile, are we good? And then there's the ghost. So when I meet those who need Patrick Tiahan, I know where to send them. They don't want to go. Or the ones who need Terry Real, again, they don't want to go either. So we don't do anything, meaning the empowered feminines and empowered masculines. But what I was trying to get to is that we navigate expansion thanks to us taking seriously being our prefrontal cortex. And so with Dharma comes destiny, the fate that I was mentioning about God. Anybody who has love, fear, your choice points. When I'm presented a human being in front of me, I am able to make one of two choices. Now, if I am physically afraid, my body will react. And usually that's if there's a physical event, although I have panic attacks. So that's something that isn't a physical event, but still my body's happening, right? Okay, so mindfulness helps you to actually be able to expand your window welcome to emotions and affect, and that's why securely attached non-traumatized people are here with their thoughts and emotions and sifting through them. The ones who need help first, they go to people like Patrick Tian Terreal, Janina Fisher, Basil Vanderkolk, and then they say, I want to do personal development, self-help, Maria, I want life now. And that's when you send them to the Zen master who tells you no one can be enlightened, who apparently doesn't know about the flow state from neuroscientists, and in fact doesn't even try to put their best foot forward because they have laundry. So whenever somebody wants to tell me that life is suffering, I say, well, wait a minute, not for the Christ consciousness ones, because for us, Jesus died on the cross for our sins. He suffered for us. We actively don't do what our ancestors did, and also God gave us the miracle of life. And as Neil deGrasse points out, you got one life. So we like to use our brain effectively, which means bilaterally integrating it, and vertically and overall, which means the mindfully with mindsight and mindset. And that's because restorative embodiment means I'm overall integrated. Now I've gifted my human being body its full potential, because I went all the way and didn't say, I don't want to anchor in my ventral energy. I want to stay in my hypervigilant because this is how I feel emotions. Okay. Not really, but okay. You're going to keep doing your exiles, protectors, and your teenage self. That's still a part of you. It's your pause self, is your identity. It's going to be restricted, what it wants and what it doesn't want. But hey, at the end of the day, it's your brain. Your brain capacitates stuff, and that's how you leave it. Because seriously, there's cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation. Integration is a choice by the person who has the brain and who has the capacity to notice. And getting that default mode network to disengage, to downregulate from scanning self and others, it involves self-mastery. I have self-empowerment because my 3-year-old, she's not broken, nor is my 1-year-old. I can consistently be my own safe haven, secure base. We can thank my panic attacks. So by being able to self-regulate in your ventral vagal state, in the absence of another, somebody can do this or that. And the thing about an empowered feminine is that we will consistently have known, I got the opportunity to choose to love purely when presented with pure fear, which isn't Lucifer or evil. It's pure fear, which is explainable by trauma educators all over the world. So yeah, I don't judge any person who needs help as somebody evil, Knievel, medieval, although Michael Stone's scale does point out that the 7 of 14, charming, but then again, they're not charming. I see people putting these human beings on pedestals and praising them, and then I think, wow, they want to talk to me about God. Okay then, I keep getting told to leave it alone because I do judge suffering. I find it a waste of time. Because my 3-year-old, she didn't get shamed, you see, so I don't feel afraid to think or feel. And here, that's the whole point of why I can't physically say, and I know, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, it's why I understand when God says don't judge. It's not good or bad. I find suffering futile and a waste of time because you're in your brain, you're in a body that's sluggish, you're not moving anywhere. I see somebody on the floor, and I'm the 4'9" person who, if I'm in front of a bear, I'm going to probably shit my pants. I'm just saying, you understand? So this is how my brain works to share with you all. I admit it. I do judge one thing alone, but it's not because I think it's bad. It's because I think, what the fuck? Get up, walk, you're alive, you're breathing. What are you doing? And that I'm told by the ones who are in a different spectrum, who understand I'm not trying to dismiss that which took place. That's why I'm not dismissing that which is your own embodied brain. No, I'm saying I'm happy to see Kylie healing. I'm happy to see Patrick Tiahan out there helping people want to heal. I'm happy to see Terry Real and Dr. Daniel Fox. What I am fascinated to see is when I get to see a woman, it's dangerous to have no emotions, in her sympathetic, thinking she knows what emotions are and that you can have none of them. I'm thinking, wow, okay, yeah, you keep talking. That's an armored suit. And I know your body protects you now from what you disregarded going to do, which is getting your therapy. Because, oh my gosh, she dismantled the entire equipe of therapists in modern day healing, and they're trying to imprison you, because that's what happens when somebody wants to have a hissy fit and they're hypervigilant. How dare they tell me to control myself? They're not telling you to control yourself. They're trying to help you get into what is the depths of aliveness of you, but hey, you don't want it. So, I mean, really, stay dumbed down in your left brain alone and continue with, yes, the existence we're living in is connected with suffering. That's actually the first truth of what it is to be in the Buddhism philosophy. And I'm like, yep, that's not my philosophy. And that's why when this lovely Shaolin master says, if you say no, it's not true, then you don't need to follow Buddhism, which I don't. I just know of it. And I know of those who do follow it. And then I know of, I'm being very, very, very happy that I get to know of Sadhguru with spirituality. He integrates all. Very, very happy that all of the modern day spiritual people who are open to us all coming together can say, oh yeah, we have all different ways of thinking of things. And no, life doesn't have to be suffering. Life can be love. Life can be this. Life can be that. So when somebody wants to just use one note and they don't like that we have different notes, again, I mean, that's how you feel life. Some of us feel life as love and as gooiness. And that is the red flag to us having an inner child that breathes and lives that was not broken, because my faith in humanity didn't get broken, because love is always there, because it's in my heart. That's because I have a ventral vagal state. And no, it's also because my heart is an organ. So is my brain, and so is my gut, right? And they're the three brains. So yeah, my heart remembers things. You know how people say your heart, you can die from broken heart. I looked up that there's an actual thing, but you know what I know? I know Lisa, who talks about how we use our thoughts. So yes, your body, your feminine, keeps every single bit of every shit that took place. It's called muscles, bones, and tissues. Trauma charging. It's also called it always comes up. And that's why your left mode, your masculine alone, doesn't do shit if it's basically not able to handle what comes up, which is what therapists help people to do. Help them to expand their window of affect and their window of tolerance to emotions and everything. So when you don't know how to handle your child parts and you get into structurally dissociated, which is why we see 16-year-olds shouting all over the place, they're grown-ups. But when you see the people who are in their modulated, it's the fight response, and that's that last child part. My lovely teacher, Sue Martin, told me also new studies show that the fourth step to healing trauma means trauma charges, not the events. It's things that are really, really, okay? The fourth step is to get bystanders to take your side and then prance up to the person and or the group and punish them. This whole punish reward makes me think of my ancestors. And people say, yeah, that's how we're made. Wow, you obviously don't have the capacity to take your human makeup and elevate yourself. And you want to talk to me about self-mastery. You just missed out by saying yesterday's news did this, I'm going to keep doing it. Which is why it's not about religion, spirituality, all of those words, Buddhism, the suffering thing, the story, the blah, blah, blah. No, it's a very specific way of bringing forth one, hey body, it's cool, we got a panic attack going on. Hey brain, you stay online, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? You can keep mindfully. I don't know clinical dissociation, I just know how to chit chat with myself in a good way that I'm presenting to you. With people, when they hear that, it's not that easy, it's that easy to me. I can do thoughts and feelings. I'm so sorry, it's hard, but I do know how to get you out of hard. Apparently nobody wants it though. You don't want your personality patterns to be softer, your temperament to be softer. You don't want to own the sense of self. You don't want to become what you could, core, narrative, relational, solo self, and get into becoming a big boy, a big girl, a big day. No, you just want to be a hissy fit. It's not fun to see teenagers prancing around, but that's that fourth step to trauma charges, healing. That's why we got flat earthers. That's why we're going to have more silverbacks. And when I see Peter Pan, I say, hey, so who's Wendy? How many of them are they? Are you having a good time? No, I don't do that. I'm just doing that here because we have new stories. For those who don't want to heal, we won't go pointing. I won't be pointing people out. I just know where to find them. And then I know how to make funny jokes about it. And then I know how ego don't know the difference of anything because it's in here that you'll know. And I know I have a restorative embodiment. And there are going to be people say, she's fake-o. And I'm going to be like, sure, I can't prove it to you. You actively won't be able to ever savor one day of my life through your tongue because that's the point. You're made of the sensations that your fetus in the belly of it's your body, not mine. I can't do anything for you. Like with my twin, I can't do anything that her embodied brain did something different than my embodied brain. So the Robert Sapolsky was determined if anyone really wanted to become self-mastered at this point in our era, they would all go and get themselves out of having child parts who were charged so that they could become full-fledged human beings. Because you know what's fun about being your self-master is that, they don't pull wool over your eyes. This is a bullshit statement that people who live out the movies do. They betrayed. I think, wow, no, really, when you think of betrayal, I think of a tu brute, and that makes me think of cowards. I have nothing to say to cowards, except for there's no Lucifer. Even when I think about Jesus and Judah. There's a documentary that I watched, or a docu-something on History, Geographic, something like that. Anyways, they're presenting a alternative potential story. And don't ask me names because I forget them. But the potential was that Jesus told Judah, you have to do this. This has to happen, otherwise the whatever prophecy can't be fulfilled. So of course this is the part of where all these things that are shared, remember, grounded in reality means that anything that is set out there we know could be falsifiable, but we're not going to go trying to prove the earth is flat because we want to use our brains in different ways. Let's save the environment, shall we, like the ecosystem and stuff like that for the future children. Let's help children to grow up in a world that has integrated brains and restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating. Both monoamory and polyamory can coexist, yes, because the ones who know what vows mean are the people who show up consistently in their ventral vagal state. The ones who do Diego's family, they're very unimpressive, completely unimpressive to an empowered feminine and an empowered masculine because they're codependent in a way that completely makes me think Cinderella, Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and there you go. And another one bites the dust. So when I see the relationship soul age group, I know who they are, and they're having a great time, and that's good for them. I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. That's the other thing. There are different Soul Age groups. So for the Mystic Mentor Content Creator Podcast host, here again, I'm giving you my subjective spiritual life story alongside theories and ideas. And it's not theories, it's just food for thought. If there were theories, I'd have to write it down in a certain way. So no, it's food for thought. Actively subjective opinions are being shared right now. And that's what I hope you keep on understanding, grown-ups do. We're not here to tell anybody who to be or what to be. The only people who begin getting pissy in their pants are the ones who have self-doubt because they don't have the complete capacity to have self-mastery. No, nobody can tell you who you are or not, independently from how they're conceptualizing something. And so, as I lost whatever it was I was sharing with you before, which was probably unimportant in the first place, I will conclude our lovely food for thought episode with self-mastery. It comes when you have your ventral vagal state and when you do know how to be a functional child adult. So you don't take things personally. You don't think of any person being Lucifer or evil, Knievel, medieval. You do feel bad for the ones who follow people who are actively, just it's totally clear what their pathologies are. But it's totally clear that we all can have a way we think things up. And it's totally clear when people use their words and they begin to just randomly use words and not continue what was an exploration or is an exploration or so when I meet those who are in group, you'll always spot the Peter Pans who follow Wendy's and the Lost Boys. Then you'll meet the human beings who use their human name and they like to talk about it all. Science, spirituality, it all comes together, but that's because we also don't have any kind of issue with being different in our thoughts, polyamory, monoamory, politically, religiously, spiritually. There's just a bunch of different ones of us who, with discernment, good judgment, healthy choices, wise, so you do know about all this subject matter experts and beyond. Nobody thinks your brain falls out of your ass because that's just something that comes out of the mouth of a person who is using only one side of the brain effectively. So they don't know yet how to use both effectively. That's not a competition. They actively don't have the capacity to keep their right online with their left because they're not practicing it. Mindfulness practices with mindset skills are yours to be using. Inner growth mindset is what I brought before I even know anything about attachment trauma. And what I can tell you as an empowered feminine is I consistently love to hear all opinions, which is why I don't have beef with anybody who says, you're wrong. Okay, I'm curious. What do you have to say? You have no opinions. Well, I do, but I'm not really fixated. I'm grounded in reality. Anything that comes out of my mouth could be untrue. I just know that. That's why I said not theory, food for thought. But I am a self-master, and this is the securely attached, non-traumatized individual who owns all their child parts and is a functional child adult. So yeah, people can come up to you with whatever mannerisms as long as they're not a physically threatening individual, you're going to be okay. And the bigger the group doesn't matter because obviously, this is the equations that the only people who bring to this stuff are the same people who lack self-empowered, enlightened mastery. Then you have a self-empowered equation, even if you can be feeling shame for let's say, you don't feel beautiful. So that's why they have a shame spectrum. I don't use the word shame because I don't have shame, but I can be embarrassed, which is part of shame. So that's where people begin to get picky. So let's just say we're all people who can be self-aware. But when you're self-aware by having self-acceptance, meaning I'm crooked, you're crooked, meaning I can be the good person, the bad person. That's why, take me as I am, God, I'm flawed. That's it. Anybody else isn't God. So those of us of faith, we will know one God. Human ain't God. Don't matter what books you tell me. You can start throwing to me all the books. You can come inquire and tell me that you are not going to get ego. That is of a whole 3-year-old heart who knows what it looks like when somebody's using their little group to come and basically bully me into believing what you believe in. Is this what's happened? What words would you prefer I use? And that's why the only course of the only recourse of action when it comes to this type of stuff. And again, the last time I did any of this, I was a teenager because it was ridiculous, stupid, or some other random, just out of nowhere word. My jaw just drops when I think of how people have cognitive dissonance. This is how an empowered feminine feels, who uses discernment, because I know intellect and I know data, and I just think this is bullshit. when I saw it in college, that was just hilarious. And when I now still see it with academics who are experts, I'm just like, what the fuck? How many of them have not bilaterally integrated and vertically yet? What the hell? And then I remind myself, thank you, God, not to judge human suffering. And then thank you, Patrick Teahan, Terry Rio, come on in, Bezel Vandercook, Stephen Porges, Dr. Daniel Siegel and Fox, because I forget. Peter Levine, I forget. Those people began their life with a 3-year-old that don't know shit about themselves. I don't. I know everything about myself. And I'm not kidding. Which is why one day I'm going to interview my lovely mother while we're here so she can tell you. I'll be like, Mom, tell them what I told you. Every time you told me that you know me better than I know me. What I told you, we will still argue about this. I know me better than you know me. So that's what a 3-year-old does. I'm just saying. And that's because she let me. So self-mastery, you own your child parts. They're asleep. When they come up, you tend to them. You don't throw them at people. And when you meet the ones who do this shit, I'm just saying, it's hilarious. And I don't argue with them because I learned that a long time ago when someone said, you're doing it on purpose to make me upset. No, I'm not. I actually wasn't at all. And I was very sad because I wasn't. So you don't want to make people mad just because you're having fun talking. It's not fun to talk like that. So I'm just saying, people who have a skewed perspective of how it is to hang out, they all can use all you need is love. Dun, 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 dun. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. But some don't want to be anchored in their ventral energy all the time. So you don't make people be anchored in their ventral all the time, which is why an empowered feminine will be an empowered masculine, because she will be all lovey-dovey, and so will he. But those who want to be masculines with a distorted feminine, they will be here, and they're going to have fun in their visceral and their biochemistry of fear. So they will do different things. They don't own their sense of self. No, core narrative relational solo self isn't owned. They also don't own their attachment category. They also don't own knowing when they're in their sympathetic dorsal vagal or when they're in their ventral vagal. They also don't want to. They also don't think they can own neutrality and duality because they think that they're supposed to be in their hissy fit when they're taking a stand, which instead is them being dumbed down by their anger in the sympathetic with the cortisol that is saturating the hippocampus, which they will notice because it will actively lead them to say things that aren't intellectually savvy, that aren't emotionally masterful, and that aren't discerning or equanimous at all. And that is becoming more and more blinded, and that's why biological rudeness is not a choice. It's something that comes up. It can be an emotional button, it can be a trigger. It's something sensitive and personal that the person who has it is to master it, not to, you don't do it. That's why there's therapists. They can work with that with therapy, or they can be mindfully aware and with mindset skills, and then a mindset that leads them to want to tend to that, to process it, and to then move beyond it. So I want to not bring forth that adaptive child mannerism where I get controlling and I dictate a conversation and I get rigid and unforgiving and I get harsh and I begin. So that would be, a person would have to want that, but the people I see saying, we have to be in that because that's how you get your stuff going. It's called the 4th step to recovery of trauma. Trauma charges can be a bounty full of things. Now when you see people prancing around with Braveheart sticks, they have their bystanders, and all together they yell like teenagers, and that's their 3-year-old saying, now that we are together and we see each other, you have to see us too. And we want everyone to see us, but they're not doing it with discernment, equanimity, or love. No, they're doing it like a teenager would, which is why they're irrational, illogical. But they come together, and there you go. We got flat earthers, and they don't do any harm because they still follow laws. So it's not because of people who are actively expanding their brain that we have flat earthers. It's because those flat earthers needed each other. They found each other. They have a common motivator. They have a common everything. All those things that get people doing shit, and they came together, and now they're walking around telling us that they're going to prove the earth is flat. Grounded in reality, 5D mystics, we say it's cool, woo-woo, pseudoscience, great and dandy, but we are mystics. We come with spirit, with God, with source, with Akash. We're okay with the ones who don't like us. We know what's happening. They don't like that we brought all the books together. And as for the mentor, content creator, right, and podcast host, we get to chit-chat and have a good time and bring like-minded people together which like to learn and to actively, again, expand. So the frequency of our lovely planet is 5D, which is why all people, as they welcome their true self back, will allow themselves to become the full embodiment of pure consciousness, incarnate in this case their love frequency. So we can find a bountiful of lovely human beings who will be in the restorative embodiment, and then we'll have a bountiful who will be in their modulated embodiment and dysregulated, which isn't a good or bad thing. To them, that's how you feel emotions. I mean, remember, gosh darn it, that fancy lady man in suit, I mean, they're leading a whole bunch of people to stay in their modulated. Every single little piece of all of that which they will have brought forth. Not one single one of them has told them to go and do somatic sensory motor and to heal their child parts and to learn how to navigate their ventral vagal state and to actively learn to self-love and self-compassion and self-everything and to be able and bring forth their whole self in the absence of the little fists. So when I see, I know I got a trauma charge in front of me and I'm not going to be presenting anything because they want to be seen so that they can be heard, because their 3-year-old wasn't, and they didn't know how they could be heard, and that it's okay to, be different also. So we can be different, differentiated selves, not think the same, not feel the same, and still hang out like Manny, Diego, and Sid. But discernment and equanimity, by the way, which is the securely attached, non-traumatized person, because we can self-regulate in our ventral without another. Yes, apparently to those who talk to you about styles, I do attachment categories, but I also know about the styles, but apparently to those who do styles, securely attached people are boring. It's like, wow, really? So you like your hypervigilant close-heartedness, which basically puts you into the fight mode with what? What are you doing? Are you boxing with your relationships? That doesn't seem like any kind of relationship that I would want to be in. You're a performer right now, and there's my facade friend. Because anybody who has fulfilling prophecies, which are the karma fate people, which are the insecure people, they're not leading with their higher self, so they have a mask. Like Patrick Chan would point out, a past self person, they're performing. So the performance is hard work for them. I, in the meantime, aren't working. I'm just authentically there because I'm having a pleasant time and I feel bad, but I can't make the heart get out of being closed and afraid. It's not my hypervigilant body. It's not my sympathetic. I stay in my ventral energy. If they welcome it, then maybe they'll get into their ventral energy too. Doesn't mean they'll welcome that exile or that protector or that child part back, because if they don't take ownership of their trauma stuff that they're bringing into the mix, that's the sensations, the behavior, the mannerism, all of it. Adaptive child or mannerism. So is maladaptive patterns of behavior. The inner critic, outer critic. So it's a bunch of things that people ignore, and that fancy they're trying to tell us to have no emotion. It isn't inherently true that enlightenment, or it's that it's healthy in enlightenment to be non-reactive. It is according to the smart somatic therapist, so you might not believe in them, I guess. But you don't believe in scientists who are doing research, conducting it empirically, and you're none of it. And you're not even bringing it all together with the consilience approach because you don't like it. Oh, I bring all of it thanks to me being interested. You're human. You're not just the body. You're not just the mind. You're not just the brain. You're not just the self. You're not just yesterday's Freud for no way, shape, and form at all. Actually, I love Dr. Daniel Siegel because it's exactly to T, his interpersonal neurobiology and his PDP framework. Why? Because I put it into practice every day. And differentiated self with an integrated brain, plus me being motivated, meaning by the physical fear, I just want to be physically safe. That's my number one motivation. Number 2, self-agency. That's Maria wanting to be Maria. Number 3, bonding. But I'm a straight shooter. Yes, I like you. I can't tell you I don't like you. My mother taught me manners. I won't talk to you at all, though. And then I'll get, am I not decent enough to be saluted 3 years after consecutively having been just simply disengaged from trying to engage with you at all. That person has unhealthy self-worth. I'm not a snob. I'm consistently communicating. I'm not interested in becoming your friend, and I'm a grown-up. I'm not even a child who's out making new friends. I don't know, I'm in a new place. No, I'm a grown woman. So, I thought grown-ups would all be emotionally, mentally, and physically mature, meaning healthy, self-worth, empowered, mastered men, women, and days. When you am I not decent enough to be saluted? That's actually, I can't say you're a sad story because that would be disrespectful. Plus, you're not. You're just a paused self version of yourself. My point is, though, humility and integrity come with God, and actively you won't be feeling that you are going to look at someone and say, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you, because that's actually not true. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't judge what they will have chosen to do with their gift, the gift of life. That is a miracle that God gave them, because I'm not God. And as Neil deGrasse points out, yeah, he wishes people would use their brain better too. I wish the same, Neil, but they don't listen to pseudoscience, lady. Maybe they'll listen to you when you explain to them a lot of things about how they won't be reborn and genetically a trillion years. I'll be reborn. I know my future life and my future husband. And when I tell people that, where are they? No, not now. I said future. It seems like they don't know, but that's because they're not mystics. So if you're a mystic, you know what I'm talking about. I'm an Akashic record reader, so I've seen it. I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could say, okay, let me tap into more of something of Maria's in the future, but I don't. I like to do other stuff. But that one of the future, that was one of my first astral travel dreams, or whatever, however they're called. And I was having 3 different types, I remember. As my light body expanded, as I came all into back to myself, I remember when I got expanded to even more. So first my oversoul, then Earth, and then galactic infinity universe and beyond. Kundalini awakenings 2, twin flames 3. Yes, other people have different stories. We let them do their thing. Soulmates, and as an empowered feminine does always know where she's headed. That's the thing. We don't have questions, which ticks masculines off, because they're like, you're a know-it-all. No, I'm not, but I do know me, and I do know where I'm going, and I know it consistently, and I also know that I've chosen love, which is why I'm authentic, because I don't have fear for people. My faith in humanity hasn't been broken. My faith in God isn't broken. There is no Lucifer, just people who suffer. God tells me not to judge it. The fear end of the spectrum works for those who are expanding. So enlightenment, the ones who are enlightened ones. Those who want to equate life to suffering follow the Buddhism philosophy. This is what this person, Shaolin master, says. No, I'm not Buddhist at all. I'm Christian Catholic, but as a mystic, I'm not welcomed by all of that. So spirituality is a word that we've all begun to be able to use. Those who follow strictly, apparently, this Buddhism, again, they need to believe in this truth of life with suffering, which I'm sure the Zen master, that's why he thinks he deserves the title, because he believes in it that way. When you meet Sadhguru, I love Sadhguru, he brings it all in. He doesn't ascribe to one of anything either. That's why the spirituality community, we get called names by those, how dare they, Luciferian era. So anybody who doesn't like everything touching, Anima Mundi, yeah, they just like to use those words. And then there's those, oh, poor child. And I'm like, wow, poor child. That one's even worse, because I'm still thinking, hey, God, so you told me that I'm not to play you, which I'm not. What about, don't point, that's bad manners. But what about that? Again, I'm reminding you, mind your own business. No, he doesn't do it that way. I'm just joking right now. That's why a whole 3-year-old heart, again, you don't get any kind of bad-mannered, nasty shame on them. You remember self-respect and respect them. And if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, and you come to me, and I'll take care of it. Yes, mother. No, I probably didn't say that. But I remember something she taught me about self-respect and respecting others, and that if grown-ups were scary, that was their bad manners. So whenever I've seen a grown-up being, I'm like, wow, bad manners. And then God reiterated, it's okay, my child, don't worry. You don't need to do anything, because, again, God always wins. The other thing that always gets me, when somebody says they have faith, and then they play superheroes, supervillains. Yes, the enlightened ones that talk to us about soul contracts. This one is really good, because you'd think that everyone would remember this instead of talking about their oversoul as energy vampires, dark auras, and you losing people when you're spiritually expanding. So we've moved a little bit beyond the self-mastery as a human aspect to conclude with our lovely mystics. So if you are a self-mastered mystic, you don't get confused about your brothers or sisters, your oversoul, your twin flame, soulmates. Nobody comes telling you about your story. And when you have anybody in your energy sphere, it's get the fuck away. I can't even believe you're in my space. What the fuck? And when you see human beings who are grown-ups more than you ever will be to them, and they're like, spiritual warfare. And I'm like, whoa, or mental warfare. There's pseudo-aliveness on the screen. I can't believe I'm seeing this right now. I thought they would notice themselves in dorsal vagal shutdown. Okay, and the somatic therapist will have informed every single one of the smart brains of us, please, 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 calm down, calm down. Every single human being body is headed home to their true self, their restorative embodiment. But that left mode, which is why, again, the feminine knows where she wants to go. She wants to lead herself back home to that which is her gooiness. But that 3-year-old is very, very important, which is why Robert Sapolsky determined it, and why God also, again, reminds me about not judging. And then the smart therapist also remind me of trauma charges being stored in muscles, bones, and tissues. So we have a variety of life out there, and just now, finally, all the trauma information is out there. So our split is where we have one group who will maintain that low frequency because they're comfortable and they're sympathetic. It's very straightforward. No, it's not, but just to give you the gist of it. So pre-birth challenges sessions, also this. So apparently every soul that will be born will have a challenge that they will want to go through. So it can't be just one note, one frequency. But you will be given the opportunity to choose the frequency you want to live life in. I got mine. It's called pure love. That's why the pure consciousness incarnate is Purusha, unconditional love. Pure energy incarnate, Prakriti. And this is where all the spirituality concepts, when I bring them together, whether it's from Christianity or the spirituality I learned from Sadhguru or other people with their other, I forget, Buddhism, psychology, all of it has consistently pointed to your inner well-being, with you knowing how to use your brain integrated, and therefore your mind with the thoughts, the body with a ventral vagal. So knowing how to navigate your nervous system, trying to let you understand it. A gazillion of people know. A good portion of people have exiles, protectors. They don't lead with their higher self. And that's my facade friend, as I'm going to use him as the example. So no, you can present kindness, authenticity, transparency, and that which is the restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating function of child adult to a teenager, a young adult, and a grown-up. And you will see them, I kid you not, do this. Neuroscience. Everyone needs something to believe in. I saw the demonic possession. Yes, I know what you're talking about, but please, let me explain. Okay, I'm an intuitive. I can prove it. No, not really. But okay, sure, keep trying. Empirical data for smart brains is empirical data. They're the brains that keep grounded. You can't disprove spirituality existence for those of us who live it. You just can't. Then we can fight amongst each other if we want. As for data and empirical, it's very clear. Quantitative, qualitative. Anybody who's being a buffoon is being a buffoon. The academics know how to handle each other very well, might I add, because there's a bunch of them. So for me, the two schools of thought, science, spirituality, come together. Equally, we have one group who are fun to be around, the other group who think they own shit, and guess who's the ones that are the smarter of the two? I won't say. So, and I won't be saying it, because I know that you'll know which one it is if you are who I think you are, a 5D collective. So this person was talking about how whenever we are meeting each other, we will have chosen what challenges to bring to ourselves so that we can enjoy becoming that which we are, which is pure love. So pure love is what you're meant to be. And when you hear 4D saying, yeah, we won't be it in this lifetime, we're not here to be that. That is what we are. No, you're actively, if you want, here to also, yes, the embodiment of pure love. It's unconditional. You don't have to, though, because humanly speaking, we're talking about, again, having your higher self in the lead, allowing yourself to use the left and the right together. That means also your human secondary consciousness. So to deal with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpected, and unwanteds from life with an open heart, versus one that says, my heart will suffer life and I need scars. No, I have them and I'm going to put gold in them. So anytime you hear a story, makes me think you want God to reward you for emotions. I thought you would know that human living is emotions. You still sound like my dramatic teenage friends, which is why those are actively dramatic teenager versions of all these people, because that's what the hypervigilant and pseudo-aliveness is. So when people are in pseudo-aliveness, there's a way Ruth Lanus has shown me. I've seen this more times than I can count with my 4D mystics, because that's exactly how they're experiencing life, which means their first 3 years of life, they didn't go and heal. And they're not going because they need Pat Ogden or Patrick Tiahan or, Terry Real and more, Bezel Vanderkook, and I don't know how many years, so that they can work with all of that, which is a window of one, welcome to affect, window of tolerance, expansion, with their child parts. And no, they're not trying to imprison you. They're actively not re-traumatizing you. That's the difference. So somatic, sensory-motor, EMDR. The people who heal and who are then knowing, okay, yeah, I want ventral vagal. Or they say, I want to do personal development, self-help, Maria. I want life now. And you say, okay, cool. There's a Zen master for you. But as for souls, like I was saying, we choose what we are going to give each other the opportunity to do. In the case of an empowered feminine, she will know that it is to choose love. That's why I actively tip my hat to the masculine, because the masculine has the trickster, which is the left brain, which comes online at the age of 2, which then is led by a teenager. My brain doesn't work with my voice. My brain actively takes feedback immediately. It's instinctive. My empowered feminine is because Maria listens to her body, and it's from my gut that says yes, no, yes, no, maybe, nope. And what I'm saying is, when selecting individuals in my herd, it will always have been based on the gut, and I've never been wrong. And never in the Empowered Feminine's book is because even when we aren't clear on what's happening, again, the feminine is connected to source, Akash, spirit, God. I'm trying to bring this from me, not masculines talk their stuff. And so it's a sound, it's not words. I'm not using my left mode. I am using pure sensations. I don't even have images. I don't have any of that. I'm giving you this empowered feminine because that's the part of it being a sound. So, we've heard about God being, there's a word they use, all of it being a vibration, a frequency. Okay, so the part about being in the complete state of awareness, which is unknown, I don't have an issue sitting in silence with spirit, source, God, because I am born with faith again, and I'm born as a child who could think and could feel without being afraid, because I got the child-centric environment and a twin. So the child part, having another to play with, is very important because I was never alone. I've never had one moment of aloneness, so my child brain didn't get treated in a way that I needed to be an adult. I didn't get left alone with my thoughts in a scary, scary room or something. I was never in a room by myself until I forget when I got the first time my own room. So these are the reasons why psychoeducation is important, and why determine Robert Sapolsky is important, and why, the whole part about there are potentially consistently, no, there's going to be always more than one frequency. But when we encounter each other, that's the part. Empowered feminines will know my opportunity is to present to you pure love. And the masculine's opportunity is to present their vulnerability. So if you present to me your fear, you're not going to present it to me in a form of that which would be distortion. You present to me your true feelings. And then together we make a sweet love and fear coexist, if you will. And this is something that I am just closing out as, again, food for thought. And when it comes to the frequencies of masculine and feminine, and I'm not a masculine, but I can imagine how hard it is, because the feminine is used to being the nurturer, the energetic frequency. So it is also not afraid of darkness, because again, Mother Earth, spirit, like I said, there's no question. My fate has been decided by God, not by me and not by any of you, not by anybody. God, and that's it. I'm not going to know it. I'm not going to ask, because actually I already know what it is. And he reassures me every now and then on that stuff, and then I get given my opportunities to, with my own self, work through shit, So that's the part. Feminine doesn't ask masculines or other feminines about anything, an empowered one, because we have self-mastery, and then we have a direct relationship, and we don't have questions about life, because the unknown isn't scary, because that's actively what I wake up. No, that's what I go to bed with, actually, not when I wake up. When I wake up, I know, wow, I got another day. Yay, I get to spend it with my loved ones. Woo-hoo. And then when I go to sleep, I don't know if I wake up. I just don't go to sleep with that thought anymore. And there's your human secondary consciousness. So yeah, living the depths of emotions is not hard for feminines, which is why we understand the masculines. And again, empowered, both are healthy. That's with their thoughts and feelings. And as human beings, understanding, of course, we all don't like knowing that we live and knowing that we die, and then seeing all that suffering. Who does? Nobody does. Even the ones who will make statements about others. So yeah, we're going to leave that alone. But every one of us can have the kingdom of God, that have it in the body, goodness. Everyone can have kindness, but not everybody does, and they're all children of God, and each and every one of those children can make a difference. But the part about us all being one frequency, that's where, yeah, that's every one of us has our own embodied brain to get to work with. So we'll conclude. Sadhguru: without transforming individual human beings, there will be no transformation in the world. Yes. Once you become aware that you are mortal, you will not be dead serious about anything, but eager to live as intensely as possible. And again, a little bit more. He had some really good quotes in the last couple of days. Whoever you meet, Speak to them like it is the last time you may have that opportunity. It will transform your life. And that is true. And love is a quality. Love is not what you do. Love is what you become. We definitely know that. And human beings suffer their own memory and imagination. That is, they suffer that which does not exist. But that's not true. It does exist within you. Your inner child exists within you. And as Patrick Tihan will point out, when children are not allowed to hate being abused, they will start to hate themselves. So the reality is, all of suffering has an answer. That's why it's not a Lucifer. It's actually a left brain that is working with a right brain sometimes that isn't working together and stuff like that. So shame, blame, fault, revenge. We take seriously healing trauma, but we know not everybody wants to heal trauma with the modern day therapists and sciences and compassion and all that. So again, some will live restorative embodied lives. Others will live their modulated embodied lives. And discipline does not mean control. It means having the sense to do exactly what is needed. And people who have self-mastery with the empowered, feminine, masculine, unconditionally loving, and with integrity, flaws and imperfect we are, take us, God, as we are. We will ask you to forgive us for our flaws and our sins. We also will not be, though, treating people with unkindness, rigidity, harshness, or any of that adaptive child crap. We will be functional inner child adults, because that's exactly what I get to say. Being yourself means you want to live a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. Want, not have to. You don't want it, you like hypervigilance, or it's just too challenging, you whatever, however it is that it gets posed, one, they won't be here. People who want that won't be tuning in to any of the self-compassion stuff. That's the split. Mystics or not. But again, it's not something we need to talk. Love and fear together, they mold, and when they do, they come and expand each other, and it's actually the opportunity to just admit we are human beings living a human life with a soul that, yes, lives forever, but your secondary consciousness is going to consistently participate. Hey, ego. Hey, self. What up? Well, hey, Maria. So let's do self-mastery. You put your left foot in and your right foot in, and you shake them all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around, and that's what it's all about. Default mode network, down regulate. And that's it. We'll be back with more. Meantime, thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. Again, personal development, self-help, mindfulness, living, loving, spirituality, you name it, all of it and beyond. Anybody who you know wants restorative, let them come on over. We're gonna have a good time. We got news stories, and we take seriously true love. All you need is love. We love to love, live, laugh, learn, expand, and not cast stones. And we do love God, Spirit, Source, Akash, and pseudoscience, woo-woo people, and scientists, the real deals, and even the ones who give us the golden, bring it all in, Anima Mundi. Okay, see you later, alligators.